Welcome. The Baker's Secret Ingredients is a story taken from my book, Conscious Kids, and I've adapted it as a meditation for people of all ages. Before the story begins, let your body settle. Let your breath find its own quiet rhythm. There's no need to force it. There's no need to change anything. As the story unfolds, the mind may wander, as minds naturally do. Thoughts may appear, and attention may drift. When wandering is noticed, there is no need for judgment, only a gentle return. A return to the sound of my voice, to the images the story creates in your imagination, to the quiet movement of your breath, and to all the sensations you're noticing in your body. Keep in mind, this is not just a story. It's an opportunity for you to practice becoming more aware and more attuned to what's happening inside you. So, I invite you to let the story become warm and simple, like fresh bread cooling on a windowsill. Let us begin now. The Baker's Secret Ingredients. In the bustling little village of Maplewood, there was no bakery more beloved than Betty's oven. Every morning, long before the shop doors opened, the air around the bakery filled with the scent of warm sugar, melting butter, fresh bread, and cinnamon rising from the ovens. People said the smell alone could soften a difficult morning. Betty herself was always moving. Flour on her apron, honey-colored hair tied in a loose bun, sleeves rolled up, hands kneading, folding, stirring, shaping. She loved her work. She loved the quiet before sunrise, when the village still slept and the dough began to rise under linen cloths. She loved the first crackle of crusts cooling on the rack. She loved the golden hush that filled the room when something came out just right. But there was one mystery Betty could not solve. Some days her cakes rose like clouds, tall, golden, sweet and light. On those mornings, customers filled the shop with laughter. Conversations flowed easily. Even the flowers in the window boxes seemed to stand a little taller. Other days, using the very same recipes, her tarts came out small and delicate, with a salty sweetness that made people quiet and reflective. Customers would sit by the window with misty eyes, as if remembering someone they loved. Sometimes her breads emerged puffy and coarse, with a sharp, spicy kick. On those days, the bakery felt restless. Voices grew louder, footsteps quickened, teacups landed harder than necessary. And then there were the soft days. The days when her pastries were simple, silky, and deeply satisfying, like a warm bath on a rainy afternoon. People ate slowly, sighed deeply, and left calmer than when they arrived. Betty measured carefully. She followed her recipes exactly. The flour was the same. The butter was the same. The oven was the same. And yet, the results kept changing. It was as if her baking carried a mood. And whatever mood entered the batter somehow found its way into everyone who took a bite. Then came the mayor's order. He and his wife were celebrating their anniversary with a grand gathering in the village hall. They wanted Betty's famous joyful cake, the tall, golden kind that seemed to fill a room with sunshine. Betty smiled and accepted the order. But the moment the mayor left, a tight little knot formed in her stomach. What if the wrong kind of cake comes out? What if it's heavy? What if it's salty? What if the whole celebration tasted like worry? That night, Betty lay awake while rain tapped softly against the roof. Her mind stirred like batter that would not settle. By morning, her eyes were tired. Her shoulders were tight. Even the bakery bell seemed to chime less cheerfully. For several days, the kitchen produced mostly spiky breads and delicate, sorrowful tarts. The more Betty worried, the worse it became. One afternoon, her friend Felicity came in for tea and found Betty slumped at the counter, staring at an uneven loaf. "What's wrong, love?" Felicity asked. Betty sighed. "It's the mayor's cake. I don't know how to make sure it comes out joyful. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I can't control it." Felicity tilted her head. "When do the joyful ones happen?" Betty frowned, thinking, "I suppose on those mornings I feel different. My hands feel light. My mind is not chewing on a dozen worries. The dough seems softer under my palms. The berries look brighter. Even the air feels fizzy, as if the kitchen itself is smiling." Felicity smiled. "That sounds like a clue. Come on, let's go for a walk." They strolled along the creaking wooden boardwalk that curved around the lake. The water lapped gently against the posts. Cedar trees scented the air. Wild mint grew near the path. Dragonflies hovered above the surface like tiny glass-winged jewels. As they walked, Felicity asked, "And the other kinds of baking days? What do those feel like?" Betty listened inwardly. "When the spicy breads come, my jaw is usually tight. My arms feel tense. My heart beats fast. The air in the bakery feels sharp, like pepper." They walked a little further. "When the salty tarts come, I feel heavy, slow, as if I've been carrying wet laundry all morning. The light even feels dimmer." "And the soft, comforting ones?" Felicity asked. Betty's face eased. "Those come when I feel quiet. My breath is deeper. My body moves slowly. The whole room seems softer." They paused near a willow tree whose branches trailed over the railing. Nearby, an old man was moving through a series of slow, graceful poses, his hands gliding through the air as if stirring invisible water. Without turning fully toward them, he said, "The baker is beginning to notice her ingredients." Betty blinked. "Pardon?" The old man smiled and gestured toward the lake. Near the reeds, a beaver dam blocked the mouth of a narrow stream. Water pressed against it, cloudy and still. "When water cannot flow," he said, "it grows heavy." The body is much the same. Feelings want to move. Breath wants to move. Energy wants to move. When everything gets held too tightly, it changes the whole recipe. Betty looked at the blocked stream. The old man continued his slow movements. Light hands need light breath. Clear batter begins with clear attention. Then he laughed softly, as if he had said nothing unusual at all. For a moment, Betty heard everything more clearly. The lake, the reeds, the trill of a bird, the creak of the boardwalk beneath her shoes. Something inside her loosened. The next morning, Betty did not rush straight to the ovens. She walked by the lake. She ate breakfast slowly. She stood for a few minutes outside the bakery, listening to the first birds of morning. In the kitchen, she noticed her body before touching the flour. Her jaw, her shoulders, her breath, her hands. Whenever worry tightened her chest, she paused and let the breath move a little lower. Not forced, just enough to soften. She thought of the stream. She thought of water finding its way. And then she began. The dough felt warm beneath her palms. The lemon zest released its bright scent. The cream folded smoothly. Sunlight fell across the counter. That morning, the sponge cakes rose high and golden, their tops rounded like little suns. The air in the bakery shimmered. The first customer through the door laughed before she even knew why. That night, Betty stayed late with her notebook. Not out of worry, but only to understand. She began to see that her bakes carried different combinations of energy and pleasantness. High energy and pleasant feelings created the joyful cakes, tall, sweet, golden, magnetic. Low energy and pleasant feelings created the soft bakes, silky, simple, comforting. High energy and unpleasant feelings created the spicy breads, restless, sharp, fiery. Low energy and unpleasant feelings created the salty tarts, delicate, heavy, full of memory. None of them were wrong. Each had its own place, its own unique flavor. Each one carried information. Each one told the truth of what had been mixed in. By the time the mayor's anniversary arrived, Betty no longer saw the joyful cake as a mystery. She woke early, walked by the lake, let the morning air touch her face. She noticed the flutter of nerves in her stomach and did not scold it. She noticed the excitement in her hands and let it become warmth. She noticed her breath and let it steady her. Then she baked. The centerpiece cake rose beautifully. A towering golden sponge layered with whipped cream, raspberry jam, and curls of white chocolate. Sugared strawberries glistened on top. Candied orange slices caught the light like stained glass. Each slice tasted airy, bright, and sweet, as though summer had been folded into the batter. The mayor laughed. His wife laughed. Soon the whole hall was glowing with conversation, warmth, and easy delight. And in a way, they had all swallowed a little sunshine. After that, Betty still had many kinds of baking days. Some joyful, some calm, some fiery, some tender and sad. But she no longer feared them. She had learned that the body speaks before the batter does. The shoulders, the breath, the heartbeat, the heaviness, the warmth, the tightness, the ease, all of it was part of the recipe. And slowly, the whole village learned from Betty's oven not to judge every mood, not to force every feeling into sweetness, but to notice, to listen, to let the inner waters move. Because sometimes the secret ingredient was not sugar, butter, flour, or spice. Sometimes the secret ingredient was awareness. And when awareness entered the kitchen, everything began to rise a little more beautifully. And when you're ready, gently come back to the room, come back to your body, and open your eyes.